All right, folks, let's get into a lake of fire lesson with the cannabis and the beasters that we're shown with the beast that's rising from that sea of green as that pharmaceutical industry's coming in and taking over in one way, shape, or form. And we got that creation, that ray creation, that light on these things. And the genesis, the genetics, and the male and female made after he, them, and those breeders coming in and be like, I want this male to go with this female over here, these terpenes, these flavonoids, this high, this low, this medical element or whatever that's tied to it, or the recreational element, and all these things are tied within the well-being, which is overall the health of the person. And there basically is no all medical use is recreational use. All recreational use is medical use. Okay, so everything is there to make you feel better. And the church and religions are there to make you feel worse. That's why you get the old side effects. Well, I gotta give my 10% or whatever, man. I ain't got no money to do it, and I'm just gonna feel bad all week, and blah, blah, blah. I shouldn't have done that. That pastor speaking right to me this week. Does he know? Does he follow me? No, because he did it himself, probably. So he has to tell his secrets to his congregation. That's why they're all... That's why it's a men's club. Okay? The Bibles. Bibbles. Get it all in, buddy. So, it's also that bioaccumulator. Speaking of the men's club, the bioaccumulator, so like many plants, when you go in and do this, that, and the other, it causes this, that, and the other to go about the plant. And like when you go around orchards and such, they have it all cut short and whatever. And we see these things kind of in the Karate Kid with the bonsai. And so the cannabis one, and the male and female made after he, them, and the high times, and all these things are working together as you have your counterculture and your counterintelligence. And these were like your offset per se, and your the dark ones are the one that were in the bags, and all those kinds of things. So all those things are playing out in a little flip-flop fashion as we're in the sands of time. And the things that are being shown with Texas and their AI highways, and Oklahoma, and their supplying the nation with cannabis and those types of things, we could see the same type of thing we saw in California happen in those types of things. And that's where you get your fire and ice. And another way, the ice is a slang for methamphetamines and those things. And then that also ties into the Methuselah, the Meth USA, and those things that's in your Genesis and whatever else. But that also ties to your blue pills, your red pills, your matrix, all those things. So as cannabis is a special plant, let's get into the quantum mechanics of these things, because we're told about this tree of life and tree of good and evil, and we see this with cannabis in one way. And then they also used to give life sentences and shit for a joint and whatever other stupid shit or whatever. But this is where that motion picture given life has come in, and then the church ran away with it, but that devil's lettuce, and then the devil's music, and that censorship, that censor is part of that rod and iron coming, and that Iran and whatever, and the Ron to Satan is going to rise up more than likely against that Mar-a-Lago, as Trump is doing this, that, and the other. But we'll see how all these little big bang sessions come as we're going in out from as going into the Big Bang, we're going out from the Big Bang, because beginnings declared from the end. So going into all these star systems and whatever else. But so as this plant has the potential to do this, that, and the other, the potential, and the POTUS for the President of the United States, that most high position. When we grow a plant, you don't need soil for the most part. That's where we get hydroponic growing. So this is telling us about this world, and we were told about the Hanging Gardens of Babylon. We have those Hanging Gardens of Babylon before us with the hydroponic gardens, but the soil is mainly there just to hold the plant up in a way. But when you study the quantum physics and such, and the light, and how we're all light, everything is light, everything. When you look at a tree and it's been there for 500 years, you're looking at 500 years worth of light and such. And this is kind of also ties into where when you burn the tree or the wood, the smoke always seems to gravitate to you no matter where the fire is going or whatever. And then the smoke burns your eyes. It's kind of like getting intense light in your eyes, and you have to close them or whatever. But because the ash is what's left over as far as the mineral content or whatever. Otherwise, everything that's burning is light and gases and whatever. So we have to understand these things, because when we consume cannabis or tobacco or any of these plants we smoke, or frog piss for the DMT, whatever people are doing. Some people also do vapor essential oils, or they do they'll smoke out of a pipe, different herbal blends and whatever. So, and then we've also seen the synthetic THC come out in different ways, and we've also seen the collection of the THC genetics of the most popular strains for years and years through the phylos and such. So this, and then the Israel's doing the testing over there. So this is where all these things are going. And then America had all these patents on cannabis before it was even made illegal. So the testing of things, the spirits are upon the earth right now, the alcohol, and as the spirits upon the earth are taking position into the heaven and hell in a way. And in a matter of speaking, this word Dawn is saying, I'm not going to, or I want to get rid of alcohol and whatever. So this is where we're redoing the prohibition in one way, shape, or form. So we're doing a time loop in America in a flip-flop fashion. So that's part of understanding where we're at and where the crypto is and the gold and how these things came, where they took the gold over there and gonna redistribute it over there, and how they reevaluated the currency. And so the stable coins and the cannabis, the hemp, the money growing on trees, this can be going into that cannabis, because cannabis, we've seen genetics go for thousands, $10,000, $20,000 for the mama clone. So that's where these things, where this plant, these ounces, once the insurance companies get a hold of it and whatever, it's where those ounces and pounds can start going for thousands or 10,000s, whatever, like they used to go for back in the day, and replaying this little sidestep on the end times in a way, as you're in like a bridge system. So this is where like all your black market or your garage sale or your cash exchange from person to person, your pay, all that kind of stuff can go to crypto, or your internet spending can go to crypto, or where we have the internet here, but it's being used for a lot of things that don't being used for, like we don't necessarily need GPS. So this is where the GPS can go, and then you go back to your map scope, and that's another the scope for the crosshairs, the map that helps your brain, remembering the numbers, all the kind of things we used to do back in the day in one way, shape, or form that made us smarter in one way, shape, or form. They've gotten rid of that. It's been a test of men and a test of time and whatever. And so this is where the birth of Emmanuel starts coming in one way, shape, or form, as we're trying to figure out how to get off the internet but still use the internet and all these other things. So That's also the darkness upon the deep, where everything's on there. And then once they do like a filter scan, like the Web 3.0, and get rid of all this shit that's just like your the plants, basically, from the seeds from the government or whatever, they can turn all that shit off, and then you have your fruits left over that have sprouted and whatever. So that's where your Garden of Eden is growing dark on one side, and then you have your sprouts and whatever in your Garden of Eden going on your other side. So that's where you have like your Trader Joe's and your Sprouts and your Whole Foods and all those kinds of things. So the whole food is about to be consumed in one way, shape, or form as that apple, but it's where you're at in the chakras as far as the lights and the rainbows within the body. And either way, so let's get back on the nutrients and the hanging gardens of Babylon, because cannabis, we see that is grown hydroponically. It's grown in soil. It's grown in living soil systems. It's grown outdoors. It's getting this type of light. Knowing that plants, and we are also absorbing this light in a way. And then we went from candlelight, we went from the campfire, so to speak, we went from incandescent light, halogen light, floodlights, street lights. Okay, so the grow lights, the high output lights, that high output light is coming into you. They sell sunglasses and such, for those of you who don't know, but to work in the garden. So there's some people that are filtering this light. So there's filter light, non-filtered light, just like we have in our world today out there. But so when you go outside, you can get natural light, you can get UV light, depending on what type of UV filtration you got, whatever's going on. All this is going to be giving different types of digital so-called input as far as light, because the information and such connects to your light. And there's water in the air also with humidity, and water holds information, and water's a type of crystal. We start off as egg and sperm, and it makes a light, and then it starts gathering light and connecting light, and it's magnetism and such. And one is positive, one is negative, one is negative, one is positive. And the egg has to accept the sperm and these types of things. So a lot of this infertility stuff that's going on is because the woman is rejecting the sperm, in a way to speak, and then they're forcing in that IVF, that IV League, and whatever else is setting up on another spectrum. But we're basically forcing this world into something it shouldn't be, in a way, into the darkness, and the darkness is coming into light. And so this darkness coming in, why do we have these kids with all these? That's a whole nother thing, and it's so easy to see, because they're all being taken out early. They're all being done this, and this, and it's just like, there's no fucking chance. And then when they come out, there's give them their flat head in the baskets. Generation of Frankensteins. And the Epsteins are here. Epsteins are here to birth them. Oh man, we should probably end this and get into part 2 a little bit. Cannabis part 2, the lake of fire, and that beast rising out of that sea of green, okay? Because this cannabis plant is a antigen and a bioaccumulation plant, and can hold information as plants are light and gas, basically, and has a few vitamins and minerals and whatever else we can see left over in the ash. So as we are consuming knowledge in one way, shape, or form, and the cure is put into the cannabis plant, or you can also just dry it with no cure in it and make the swag and those types of things. But this would be like more on your hemp side. But you can also extract supposedly the old cars ran on the hemp oil. So this were a petro for the petro in one way, shape, or form. The lights changing as far as that yellow gold, then you get the green gold. and the gringo, as far as your Mexico and your Michigan and those types of things. So as we have different lights and different gardens and different nutrients and all these things being used, and some people use living soil, some people use greenhouses, some people use shade greenhouses. All these things play a factor into what's going into the plant. And also if the person is in bad energy and they're transferring it to the plant, all those things play a role, because everything is light and everything is putting off an energy. We're always putting off an energy. We communicate with people even when we don't say anything. And you can go to Asian practitioners to kind of discover these things as they do some other type of so-called voodoo work on you. But so as all these energies and lights, and we're all connected, and all these things are coming together, we can start eating and drinking and going places and doing things based on trying to get downloads of information. And so as we're getting downloads and everything is happening all at once, is when we can go out there and such and see this, that, and the other, and kind of put it all together about how everything is happening at once, and how we can see into the future and the past and the present and how it all connects. But and cannabis is one of those ways that helps you get to that next level, as far as cleansing the body and getting the heavy metals out within, and the protecting the brain, as far as the injury that happens upon the earth, whether through mental trauma that your parents or grandparents or great grandparents put you through, or through the schools, or through the religious systems, or whoever's holding you over the fire. Okay, but so now they're holding you over the fire. They're going to drop you into the lake of fire, and that cannabis and that cannabis and all those other things comes as the boss tells you you're fired, and whatever else is coming. So that's for your ice age and those on that literal rapture, as far as being taken or left in the filth. The crypto and the cannabis and the pharmaceutical industries and the crypto and all those things, they should all kind of be going hand in hand. And then also the tracking of your habits, or your bad food, coffee, whatever kind of thing. All right. So the healing of nations is when you go to be healed. Right now you've been going to the doctor so he can give you side effects, so-called, to go along with your original illness, not fixing anything, just covering it up. And now you've been covered up. That second coming is coming, as far as where you've really been, as far as the room you've been in, and those dirty sheets. So either way, folks, and that also goes with your Airbnbs and the people spying on you, having sex in the rooms they rent to you, and the adult two-sided mirrors, and whatever else is going to be playing out. All right, but I hope they enjoyed the show. It's where they got illegal activities caught on camera while they're doing illegal activities. And it's kind of where we're seeing the Epstein and Elon Musk now being talked about, or whatever. But that's also part of the Dark Dawn prophecy I told you about coming. But that limit squeeze, and where you have somebody sneaking onto the island, they got to participate here and there or whatever, or they get drugged here, there, and whatever, and they end up participating, and they got to get their evidence and those kinds of things. Then also, well, that's a whole nother thing. We'll just end it here, folks.